Go into the world and tell every man that you meet, there is a man on the cross.
A Catholic Take. What you need to know right now. A bold synthesis of inspiration and information. Keeping you up to date on the news and issues from a courageous Catholic perspective.
A Catholic Take with Joe McLean starts now.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McLean. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you. Like a traditional mass in Knoxville, Tennessee, Jim Caviezel is out on the sequel to The Passion of the Christ, The Resurrection. In fact, there's going to be two movies coming up. There's going to be a resurrection, then there's going to be an ascension, and Jim Caviezel will not play the role of the Messiah, Jesus Christ, our Savior, in that film. How do you feel about that? I'm not sure how I quite feel about that. We're going to be talking about this today. I've got a straw poll going up on the YouTube feed today. Maybe we can get that on Telegram as well. Are you going to watch it without Jim Caviezel? Because now we have I guess he's Finnish. So it is Finnish, literally. I'm not sure how I feel. I want to know how you feel about that. But we'll be talking about that in addition to the fact that Cardinal Sarah has spoken to His Holiness Pope Leo. And we are told that Pope Leo is aware of the pain and suffering of so many Catholics who want the traditional forms of piety and culture and sacraments and are being punished for it. Places like Tennessee, like Charlotte, like in Michigan, like in Texas, and many other places. And we're going to be having that conversation today with Jordan Pacheco from the Glad Trad podcast and Ask a Priest Live fame. Praise be to God. He's going to be on the team at 30 past the hour. Also on the team today is Jason Miller. He's back. He's got an article over at Crisis Magazine. The Age of Disbelief. When do people lose their religion? When do your children walk away from the Catholic faith? It's the number one prayer request we get here at the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network is to pray for lost loved ones to come back to the church. Turns out it happens much earlier in life than you would expect. There's some new research out about that. We're going to have that conversation with Jason Miller at 14 past the hour. We will, of course, put links to everything we discuss in our show notes at the top of the hour over at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. As Mike Patino is behind the production, all of the bells and the whistles, all the buttons, the lights, and the flashing things. He's at the helm today. Praise be to God. So we're going to have a great conversation, plus the after show, and everything that you want to talk about is still on the agenda today. So we have got a lot to get to today. But also, it's just breaking news, but the Vatican has announced that Pope Leo XIV has accepted the appointment of Bishop Joseph Wu Jilian as auxiliary bishop of Shanghai. This is a Communist Party appointee, and he has accepted him in that position. Let's pray for the suffering Chinese today. How about that? In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and now your saint of the day.
Teresa of Avila, pray for us. Teresa was born in the year of our Lord 1515 to a pious Castilian noble family. Her father, though devout, did not approve of Teresa's vocation, so she left secretly to join the Carmelite nuns in Avila. Her father then relented and gave his permission to Teresa to take the Carmelite habit. Teresa became dangerously ill not long after professing her vows, and though she eventually recovered, she suffered poor health the rest of her life. About this time, she began to receive visions and interior locutions, which made her a target of mockery and concern once they became known to others. These persecutions, and an already scrupulous conscience, caused Teresa great pain, only alleviated by the advice of fellow saints, like her spiritual director, Peter of Alcantara. Teresa's autobiography and other writings, such as The Interior Castle, are considered classics of Catholic mysticism and mental prayer, and include her account of the famed transfiguration of her heart. Despite opposition, Teresa was also a great reformer, founding the Cistercian Carmelites with the help of St. John of the Cross. Teresa died in the middle of the night between October 4th and October 15th, as the new Gregorian calendar replaced the Julian calendar in the year of our Lord 1582. St. Teresa of Avila, pray for us.
And now your headline news. The Breitbart is reporting Bill Clinton says Trump and his team deserve great credit for Israel-Hamas ceasefire. That's a new one. Clinton, posting on X, commended Trump and his administration for helping broker the ceasefire deal. He called the October 7, 2023 atrocities unbearable and praised the release of the hostages tied to the agreement, saying, quote, President Trump and his administration, Qatar, and other regional actors deserve great credit for keeping everyone engaged until the agreement was reached, close quote. The rare bipartisan recognition highlights the magnitude of the diplomatic breakthrough. The Blaze reports Tom Emmer slams Democrats for refusing to reopen the government. House GOP whip Tom Emmer accused Senate Democrats of stalling efforts to end the government shutdown, calling their insane inaction. The Democrats in the U.S. Senate have now voted no on reopening the government 7 times. Emmer says, quote, you've got over 400,000 Minnesotans who rely on SNAP alone. Our air traffic controllers aren't going to get paid. Our Customs and Border Patrol agents aren't going to get paid. His remarks add pressure to a standoff that's straining public patience in Washington. And Catholic Vote reports Trump awards highest civilian honor to Charlie Kirk. Trump posthumously awarded Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom yesterday, hailing the Turning Point USA founder as a fearless warrior for liberty who inspired millions of young Americans. Those are your headline news. The gospel today comes to us from Luke chapter 11, verses 42 through 46. Jesus said, woe to you, Pharisees, because you tithe mint and rue and every herb and Passover judgment and the charity of God. Now these things you ought to have done, and not to leave the others undone. Woe to you, Pharisees, because you love the uppermost seats in the synagogues and the salutations in the marketplace. Woe to you, because you are as sepulchres that appear not, and men that walk over them not aware. And one of the lawyers answering saith to him, Master, in saying these things, thou reproachest us also. But he said, woe to you, lawyers also, because you load men with burdens which they cannot bear, and you yourselves touch not the packs with one of your fingers. The Gospel of the Lord. Laus tibi Christi. Whoa, don't you love the woes? The woes are amazing. They're just so powerful. It's like you could just imagine the gravitas of looking the Messiah in the eyes as he's woeing you. Like, if that doesn't crush your heart, I don't know what will, to be honest with you. You must not be alive. You have no pulse. Cornelius a Lapide would say, Christ exposed the wickedness of the scribes, not to disgrace them, but to lead them to amend their lives. Or, if that were impossible, to prevent others from following their evil example. So, says St. Cyril, to be convicted of error is to the proud intolerable, but to the humble a great means of advancement. The Venerable Bede would say, how wretched is that conscience which thinks itself insulted whenever it may happen to hear the word of God. Yet even now the wicked, when a preacher attacks vices which they are conscious of committing, think themselves aggrieved and persecute the man who warns them of their sin. Yeah, they don't want to hear it, do they? But it's for their best. You see, the greatest thing we can do for our neighbor, the most charitable thing we can do for our neighbor, is tell them the truth. And how long have we been just tickling the ears, saying what people want to hear rather than say what needs to be said? Father Haydock would say salutations in the marketplace and such as wish to be saluted and have the first places, that they may appear great, are likened to sepulchres, which are covered externally with ornaments, but are filled inwardly with rottenness. This comparison is partially different from that of Matthew chapter 23, verse 27. For there Christ compares hypocrites with whitened sepulchres, which may be seen and avoided. Here he compares them to sepulchres covered with grass, which appear not, yet the comparison in the main is the same, that whether they appear or not, still under them is corruption, as the interior of the Pharisees was always full of vice and corruption. The Ignatius Catholic Study Bible would say the Pharisees give a 10th part of all produce to the temple, even the smallest of their herbs and spices. Sadly, their concern for the Torah's most minute laws distracts them from its most important principles, justice and love of God. And yet Jesus says, you are not to neglect either or. You see, we often swing hard one way or swing hard the other way. And Jesus is both and. You are to pay attention to the minutest part of the law and have charity for one's neighbor. It's both and. It's not either or. You are to worship appropriately, properly, and with the utmost intention and effort, and still be charitable. It's both and. It's not either or. And yet today too often, we choose one over the other. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Tired of your phone bill supporting who knows what? iCatholic Mobile is a 5G provider that supports what matters to you. With iCatholic Mobile, every call, text, and even that group chat you can't escape helps support the Station of the Cross. It's a network that connects you to what's good for both your soul and your wallet. More information is available at iCatholicMobile.com. iCatholic Mobile underwrites with the Station of the Cross.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take a Bold, synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClain. So good to be on with you. Praise be to God. Like a traditional Latin Mass in Tennessee, boy, oh boy. Jim Caviezel is out on the Resurrection, which is the sequel to The Passion of the Christ. I want to talk about that at 30 past the hour. Jordan Pacheco from the Glad Trad podcast and Ask a Priest live fame is going to be on the team. I don't know how I feel about this, to be honest with you. With a Finnish actor playing Jesus? Oh, boy. I don't know. Are you going to see it? I got a poll up. We'll talk about it at 30 past the hour. But also on the program right now is Jason Miller. He's back. He's got a new article over at Crisis Magazine, The Age of Disbelief. When do people lose their religion? Jason, welcome back. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me back.
You're nothing but good news. The last few times I've talked to you, it's always about, like difficult subjects. We got to find some good news to talk about with you. But this one, I would say, is also not good news. The results to this isn't good. Take us through it.
Well, the key result is there's kind of a stereotype that people who leave the faith and lose their faith from Catholicism or just in general, that it's a college age thing. So whether or not they go to college, it's, they move away from their parents or outside their influence. But a lot of people lose their faith well before that. There's a lot of survey data that backs it up. Before 18, even before the teenage years sometimes.
Yeah, I found that very, very interesting. I mean, does this explain why confirmation is treated like sort of like a graduation of sorts from CCD? Is this why they have decided to sort of delay confirmation, the order of sacraments, and because there was a movement there under Benedict XVI to help sort of reorder the sacraments. I'm wondering now if this is why the bishops hold out confirmation in hopes of keeping them on the hook for as long as possible. But your article says, you're actually quoting here, almost half of Catholics who are now unaffiliated, 48% left Catholicism before reaching the age of 18, as did 1/3 who are now Protestant. Among both groups, an additional 3 in 10 left the Catholic Church as young adults between ages 18 and 23. only 1/5 who are now unaffiliated, and 1/3 who are now Protestant, 34%, departed after turning age 24. Among those who left the Catholic Church or as minors, most say it was their own decision rather than their parents' decision. So it's like we got to get them to 25 to 30 before we feel safe.
We do, but most people who say that they committed themselves to God in surveys, that's a kind of a Protestant phrasing, but that matches, in some ways what some folks are trying to have confirmation do as well. Most of them say that they did that before they were a teenager or by the teenage years. So it's if you formed them right, there's a pretty strong chance they're going to make it through that. It's what happens in those early years. And I think one of the key takeaways from this is you don't have 18 years to form your kids. It's not get them in the good position and then they'll be able to find their way in life, whether it's in the college or the military or wherever they're going. You have to have their faith built up well before that.
Yeah. Is there any indication as to what were the causes of these young ones deciding to walk away from the faith as soon as they could?
Well, there's a number of causes, and most of the people when they've dug deep into it, this guy Christian Smith, sociologist and professor at Notre Dame, went out and interviewed thousands of young people and gave them a chance to actually respond as to why they left the faith. And most of their answers were meh. They things like unintelligible or I just didn't believe. When people check boxes in surveys, top reasons are I just don't believe. So it's kind of a failure to catechize. Certain home environments are certainly less successful. People don't check the box and say, my parents were divorced and that's why I left the faith. But people who check the box, my parents were divorced, have higher rates of leaving the faith. But it seems to be a lack of catechesis and a lack of belief. The other thing we tend to see is when people leave the faith at an earlier age, they tend to leave it for nothing, to become a nun, N-O-N-E, or an atheist, but most frequently today, a nun. And later, if they're leaving the faith, it's a higher rate of leaving for Protestantism. So once a person is over 18 and they're leaving the faith, it might be to join the church that they like the music better at, which in some ways makes some sense because that's when people are more mobile and logistically, having their own car, going places is easier. So it's kind of a dual threat. Earlier age, becoming nothing, later age, choosing a different faith. But I think it's always a failure to catechize.
I'm sort of thinking about my own life as a young person. I walked away from the church, but I never considered myself a nothing or an agnostic. I mean, I was, but I didn't consider myself that. I still thought of myself as a Christian, just not one that went to church. I mean, in reality, I was living a sort of hedonistic lifestyle. But I didn't think of myself that way. And I wonder how much of these statistics have taken that into account, where they still think of themselves as Christians, even though they don't go to church. Is there anything along those lines?
Well, there is, and they're often separate pieces of data. But I think you've identified part of what makes us scary is that when we talk about people losing the faith or losing their faith, that's the people who check the box that say nothing. That's not people who check the box that say Catholic, but haven't gone to Mass since Christmas last year or Christmas the year before. So as long as people still check the box, these surveys are calling them Catholic. When it comes to the drop off in religious attendance, you definitely see a bigger drop off of people after 18 than in their teenage years. But you do see a drop off there. And I think that's driven in part, again, by failure to catechize. But as folks who've already lost some faith, have a little more independence, they may not be exercising it. But it is definitely probably worse than the surveys are indicating, because when we think of Catholic, we don't just think of checking a box on a survey that I'm Catholic because grandma was Catholic. We think of actually having a faith and practicing a faith. And those numbers can be even more disappointing.
You also say in the article, Smith found that most who commit to God did it before they were age 14. He concluded that the religious commitments and orientations of most people appear to be set early in life and are very likely to follow a consistent trajectory from that early formation through the adolescent and into emerging adult years. So, I mean, the upside, the silver lining is if you've got a young kid, 13, 14, 15, and they seem pretty set in their ways as far as the faith goes, we can have great confidence that they'll carry that into their adult years. Is that what we're saying?
Yes. And I'll give a key caveat to that, which is we all know people who have lost members of their family, who've lost their faith, who've drifted away. And that's a tragedy. And we don't want that for any of our children. But there is a very high rate once they've developed a faith by 14. There's a very high rate of them proceeding on through life, keeping that faith. And we don't want any of our children to step away from the faith. But it is a very high rate. Professor Ryan, guy who runs this website, Graphs About Religion, when he does a lot of studying of people who've lost their faith. And one of his charts he puts out shows, people who say, I was very religious as a young person. My parents were very religious as a young person. And now I'm an atheist. Now I'm nothing. That's a really, really small percentage. So of the people who make it to that point, who have faith by 13 or 14, who go through confirmation at that kind of age and actually believe it, as opposed to are being drug along to it, those who keep the faith later into life, yes, it's the overwhelming majority.
I want to follow up on something you said a minute ago. Essentially, we're talking about a catechesis problem. And yet, I can also say that I think there's really a secular problem in that many Catholic families, they're not willing to admit it. They certainly don't think this way. But I believe that many of us Catholic families really are more secular than we are willing to admit. We live sort of secular lives. We live that suburban Americana type of secular existence. And we sort of meld into our secular backgrounds a little too easily, in my opinion. And in those cultures, I wonder if it's not just infinitely easier for a kid to go off to go to mom and dad's alma mater universities to get that certificate on the wall so they can live good lives. God forbid they should be a mechanic or a plumber or something, for crying out loud. They got to go to college, don't you know? And then they get there, and then they fall into that secular culture, that secular group. So I guess my biggest question is: it seems to me that peer groups are a huge contributing factor to the choices young people make in the direction that they go. Would you say that's fair?
I think that's absolutely fair. And I think in the scenario you're describing, the parents did pass on their faith. They just didn't realize that their faith was Americana rather than Catholicism. If the example they set is, we have Polish ancestors, so we have some religious art in our home and we go to mass sometimes, but what really matters is all this other stuff. They've successfully passed on what really matters to them, which is all that other stuff, going to the school with a nice name, getting the nice degree on the wall. They pass that on. And peer groups really do matter. And they matter for passing on your faith. They matter for who you marry. Marrying somebody that's going to share your faith is a key indicator of this. And when you look at groups that pass on their faith at really high rates, they often have peer groups that share their faith. You look at Orthodox Jews in America, they have a really high rate of passing on their faith. And they ask Orthodox Jews, what percentage of your friends are Orthodox Jews? It's really high.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what are the takeaways here? What should parents do different that they haven't done before in order to help hedge the bet of their kids becoming adults that also embrace their faith?
Don't assume you have 18 years to set the faith in. Recognize those early years, the early adolescence, middle school years are critical times, not just the high school years, not just the college years. Even then, a lot of people are questioning their faith then. So take that time seriously. Take advantage of all the opportunities that are there. The church, Catholic organizations have created so many offerings for this. Really take advantage of it. Really prioritize it. And then in the other time of faith loss, the so-called college years, think deeply about whether it's a good idea to encourage your kids to just move off to college someplace at some state university far from home, and think about the faith rather than just the sports at a school.
Yeah, maybe keep them home for the first 2 years of college. The local community college, they live at home, and you can sort of help them make that transition into young adult life and make some great choices. I think there's a lot of parents out there that would sound completely foreign to them, Jason. Like he's saying that, like that's absolutely absurd. They've got to go, and yet we're sending our kids to like lambs to the wolves. We're sending them off to a difficult environment in which they may not be prepared to stand on their own 2 feet. And at the end of the day, isn't that our job as parents to prepare them?
It is. Give them the best chance they have.
Yeah. All right. So otherwise, we're going to run out of time here in a moment. But like this survey, the results also seem to suggest that you mentioned this earlier, that in the later years, if there's a change, it's usually towards Protestant. I want to give you last words. You got about 45 seconds here. So hold fast to the one holy Catholic and apostolic faith, right?
Yes. And a key way to do that is to have friends that are Catholic and to marry Catholics. And that goes to your peer group, where you choose to live, your colleges, all those points you already made.
Amen. Jason Miller, thanks for hanging out with us
kids.
again today. CrisisMagazine.com. I'm going to ask you to check it out. CrisisMagazine.com. The Age of Disbelief. When do people lose their religion? I want you to read it for yourself. We'll put a link to it in the show notes as well. But coming up after the break, Jim Caviezel is out. I'm still not sure how I feel about all this. I don't know. I may need to go to my emotional safe space on this one. But Jordan Pacheco from the Glad Trad podcast is going to be on to talk about this, plus TLM closings. Cardinal Sarah is gone to see the Pope. We've got a lot to talk about, and it's all happening in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClain. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you. And here are your headline news. Breitbart reports White House vows to keep paying troops as shutdown drags. More federal rifts coming. The White House confirmed that service members and law enforcement personnel will continue receiving pay despite the ongoing government shutdown. The Office of Management and Budget said it had prioritized defense and security payrolls while expanding reduction in force measures for non-essential federal workers. Administration officials signaled they intend to ride out the impasse, accusing Senate Democrats of prolonging the standoff. Ground News reports Hamas reasserts control in a chaotic Gaza, posing a risk to the fragile ceasefire. Hamas has sought to reassert control in Gaza after a ceasefire, killing at least 33 people in a crackdown on rival groups. President Donald Trump stated that Hamas was given a temporary approval to police Gaza and commented on their actions against local gangs. The Hamas-run Interior Ministry announced a week-long amnesty for gang members not involved in bloodshed, warning against any disturbances to public security. And Catholic Vote reports Pope Leo laments declining birth rates in Europe. In a speech in Italy after his first official visit with the nation's president yesterday, Pope Leo lamented falling birth rates and calling for the promotion of family. Quote, "In recent decades, we have witnessed in Europe, as we have seen in a notable decline, the birth rate," he said, going on to say, "This calls for a concerted effort to promote choices at all levels in favor of the family, supporting its efforts for promoting its values and protecting its needs and rights," close quote. Perhaps, Your Holiness, maybe we should preach against the evils of contraception once again. Wouldn't that be good? And those are your headline news. Again, I don't know how you're feeling about it, but I'm not feeling great about it. I'm just going to be honest with you. There's a straw poll over at the on the YouTubes right now. Hopefully, Damon, our good friend on Telegram, will get it up over there as well. It says, will you watch Mel Gibson's sequel of The Passion of the Christ, but without Jim Caviezel? Are you okay with a Viking playing Jesus? Well, he's Finnish. So it is literally Finnish. Tell Telestai. But right now, 52% say yes, they will watch it. 14% say no. 35% are on the fence. I'm on the fence on this one. I'm not 100% sure, because just like a traditional Latin Mass in Tennessee, Jim Caviezel is out on the resurrection. Here to join us from the Glad Trad podcast and Ask a Priest Live fame is Jordan Pacheco. Good morning to you, Jordan. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Joe. It's good to be back. How you doing?
Praise be to God. I don't know. I think I might need to light a candle and get a hug, because I'm not sure how I feel about Jim Caviezel being out. How do you feel?
Yeah, this is interesting. So the answer is I'm kind of in that 30-some% you just mentioned about not being sure. I mean, on one hand, I think Jim Caviezel's depiction in the first Passion of the Christ is spectacular. But also it was a tolling experience. We all know that. We've heard about not just his stories of being struck by lightning, but just kind of the faith that he went through and the rest of the crew and cast. I mean, that's just a taxing kind of production. So to hear he's not doing it again, I mean, he hasn't really given, at least I couldn't find like the most concrete kind of reason. So I'm still just like,
let me shed some light on that for you, because the report is, according to like Variety and some of these industry rags that report on this, what they're saying is Mel Gibson decided to replace him and several other actors from the first production because of the cost to de-age them in post.
Mm-hmm.
So you remember, The Irishman was out, 2-3 years ago?
I was just about to say. Yeah.
And they de-aged De Niro and a bunch of guys, Pesci, and they looked younger, but their bodies looked like old men with young faces. They would look like, because an old body just doesn't move like a young body. But Jim Caviezel is in his 50s. He's still capable. He still has it. And this is surprising. So they say it's de-aging is the reason why the actress who played the mother of Christ in the first one is not coming back. The actress who played Mary Magdalene is not coming back. The actor who played St. Peter, which I loved that guy in The Passion of the Christ. I thought he was amazing. He's not coming back. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, okay. So that's a big factor because obviously, like, when I saw The Irishman, my thought was, I don't actually think that the de-aging works very well. They should have just cast younger looking guys and called it a day. So honestly, like, if that really is a factor, it's really unfortunate. And I know some people probably should be upset about or will be upset about it. But the reality is that would honestly be my call too. Like, I actually think de-aging is not really it's not really working out to be the greatest. There's some cases where it works, but if that's just the issue, like, Jim Caviezel, he looks good. He looked good in Sound of Freedom, but he is, in his later 50s. And also, we just live in a world where I think there are a lot of other people who I think can also take on a really religious sort of yoke by playing our Lord, which is, I think, the most difficult role. I would never touch it, which is totally fine. So that's something I think of too.
I actually acted in a small film. I played the character of St. Hilarion. I just was there in September in Idaho filming. And yeah, it
didn't happen.
It's a crazy process, just on a small scale. I can't imagine what it's like on the scale that is the sequel to The Passion of the Christ. And does it? Okay, so here's another follow up to that. Then,
yep.
So Mel is not making one movie; he's making 2 sequels, and they're going to be released within 50 days. What does that do to like the decisions to cast certain people because of production schedules and post production time because they got to make 2 movies instead of 1?
Yeah, that's true. But they're going to probably just shoot them back to back then, correct? So it's not like he's going to shoot one. They're going to wait for the review of that one, and then they're going to launch the sequel. I bet you that it's all going to be lumped together, and then there might be a little bit of time of editing or something. But I bet you it's going to be still just like right on through, honestly. So, I mean, I don't think the factor changes too dramatically if that's the case. That's how a lot of movies shoot, right? The Hobbit shot like that, right? It was like back to back like that, for instance.
Yeah, but The Hobbit, it released only one here and then one another year later, and then whereas Mel's doing it 50 days apart. So I have to imagine post-production is going to be a madhouse to try to do all of the editing, all of the sound design, all of the color, all the special effects. That probably adds a lot.
So here's a question then. Like, let's suppose that they said Jim Caviezel is going to be in, but they're going to de-agify him. I don't think that technology is there right away to play like 2-3 hours worth of our Lord in 2 different movies all the way through. I feel like people would be more upset about that if it comes out and it looks like The Irishman, to be honest with you. So some people might be sore about this, but it probably is the right call if that really is a huge factor that they have to consider.
I don't know, man. You sound a little bit too positive for my liking. I'm going to be honest.
Like, also, this is our Lord's resurrected
really
body, right? So it's that perpetual like 33 glow or however we might imagine. But this is going to be already like a little bit of like, we have to kind of go into like artistic liberty. We just don't know what a resurrected body looks like, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I kind of feel bad for this actor who I don't really know him. I don't follow any of this, but apparently it's Jacko Thompson.
Scandinavia.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to say his name. I mean, God love the guy. I don't even know. He's probably a great guy, but he was in The Last Kingdom apparently, which I didn't watch. So I feel bad for him.
Okay,
but to have to step into the sandals and replace Jim Caviezel, the pressure is going to be on.
At least, is he Catholic? Is he Christian? At least, like, what's his deal?
I don't know. I don't know anything about this guy. Neither is anybody else. So I don't know. Right now we're at 52% that they're going to watch it. 13%. So it's gone down since you've given them some hope, Jordan. Apparently.
Oh wow! Ooh, that's a glad coming through right there.
1% got moved off of the no there. 35% still on the fence. But I guess that's where we're at, and I want to get into more of that maybe in the after show with everybody. But I want to transition a bit before we go to the break. Because I set it up to say there's a comparison here, just like the traditional Latin Mass in Tennessee, Jim Caviezel is out, and the reason why I'm putting these 2 things in parallel, relating them is because, Mel, you got to know that your people are going to be like, sensitive to this. This is going to take an impact. He must know that. And recently we saw that Cardinal Sarah went to go visit His Holiness Pope Leo, and they had a candid conversation, apparently. He says, quote, "I've spoken to Pope Leo about the traditional Mass. He is aware he is the father of all. He is aware of the issues. And yet, all silent on the Western Front here," to use another movie reference. And I guess what gets me is the Tennessee story, and I want to get your take on this, is that they're not doing away with the Latin Mass. It's just going to be the Novus Ordo in Latin. They didn't mention anything about the Ad Orientem, though. So is this what Pope Leo is going to be going for? In other words, we just want to push the Novus Ordo in Latin and hope that that's going to be good enough for Catholics who are looking for the traditional Latin Mass. What say you?
My first thought on this is I had a lunch with a friend a few weeks ago who goes to the Novus Ordo mostly. And he actually asked me, well, why not we could have the Mass in Latin. It's like, is that what you guys want? And so I think that traditionalists and those who might attend the Mass of Pope Paul VI are actually realizing that this isn't fundamentally a question of just Latin. I think that's the barrier, but fundamentally it's a question on the Missal. And we've talked about it, I've talked about it, but just the difference at Mass of the Age is a beautiful, unfortunate chart showing all the changes and everything. I mean, that really is the soul of it. Like, what makes not just the Mass in Latin, but the Tridentine Mass. So when I've seen Pope Leo, who keeps his cards very close to his chest, but when he talked about it a little bit before, he is aware, and I'm glad that Cardinal Sarah spoke to him very directly about this. He is aware of, I think, the issues of, the two forms of the Roman Rite. And apparently now, are we supposed to just believe that there's one unique expression, as Traditionis Custodes tells us? Is he going to continue that vein? But I also feel like from him, he has talked about you can have the Mass in Latin, and he means the Mass of Pope Paul VI. So I think he's sensitive, or at least he's aware of the issue. But I don't know if he's given a tell of what he's done. All I know is that obviously Tennessee has happened. North Carolina is still happening, by the way. Just recently, their parishes got consolidated, the Diocese of Charlotte. And he hasn't said anything yet. I'm just waiting for Summorum Pontificum to be restored. I think it makes everybody happy, but that's not happening just yet.
Well, how long do we have to wait?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I think it'd be fair to say that people figured that Leo was going to be a quote unquote moderate, whatever that means yet in the church. And I was hoping that maybe I could see in this first half of the year him to be just a good signal to be nice to his traditional sons and daughters, as he has been to his Eastern sons and daughters. And we just have to wait and see. But in the meantime, Latin Masses are still getting banned under Traditionis Custodes, which is one of the worst things that come out of the Vatican in very recent times. And it's really, really destroying a lot of, uprooting a lot of lives of the faithful. And that really hurts. And so I'm hoping that if he wants to bridge this gap and be a pope to kind of help clean up after Pope Francis, that the first thing you can do is just tell these bishops to just stop. Carte blanche, just knock it off while the Vatican figures out what it wants to do.
Yeah, Cardinal Sarah said in an interview, everyone must be given space. Speaking of the Pope, the Pope is the father of everyone, of each of us. He is the father of the traditionalist. He is the father of the progressives, the father of everyone. He cannot ignore his children. Everyone has their own character, their own sensibilities. Everyone must be taken into account. I think he will try to act in this way. So I'm taking that to mean Cardinal Sarah seems to believe, he has confidence anyway, and I guess Burke has also suggested this similar confidence, that Leo will take an action. I guess my fear is that Leo will not take the action that we all really want, which is at a minimum to go back to Summorum Pontificum. Bishop Athanasius Schneider says we got to go back to Summorum Pontificum, or rather to Quo Primum. That was Schneider's opinion.
Yep.
But I don't think either of those are going to happen. I think Traditionis Custodes is going to stay, and I think maybe he modifies it, encourages bishops to relax just a wee bit. But I believe the bishops are still going to be able to do what they've been doing since it was released. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, this is the question of questions, right? Either Benedict is right or Francis is right on this regard. Benedict says that these two forms of the Roman Rite, the faithful have there's a great beauty, great treasure to the traditional Latin Mass, and the faithful can attend it. And not only can they attend it, but a priest by his right of his priesthood can celebrate a TLM and not have to ask permission from Rome or ask permission from a bishop. Or you have the Pope Francis's, which says there's only one unique expression of the Roman rite. That's the Mass of Paul VI. And that you have to get permission from Rome in order to celebrate traditional Latin Mass. And that you should encourage the faithful really to attend, or bishops really to kind of promulgate it. They can't expand new chapels. And yeah, I wish that Leo was much more on the Benedict side. I'm prepared for him to be much more Franciscan. But I've been surprised before. And so I'm praying very fervently for not only people with Latin Mass closures, but that he kind of makes that decision, hopefully on Benedict's side.
Just like all of the fans right now who are crying out to Mel Gibson, why have you taken Jim Caviezel away from us in his new film, which is already underway in filming, because we've got a Viking at the helm. People are asking the question, why, Your Holiness, have you taken away the traditional Latin Mass, the piety, the culture from us? Will you not hear the cries of your children? More on that in 2 minutes. Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClain. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you. Can I just thank our sponsor, iCatholicMobile.com. Support for this program comes to us in part from our good friends at iCatholicMobile.com, a wireless phone service for individuals and families that provide support to Catholic media, including us here at the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network. You can find more information about them and their service that has benefited me and my family. We love it. You can find more information at iCatholicMobile.com. Thank you, iCatholicMobile.com, for everything that you do for us. Jordan Pacheco is on the team from the Glad Trad podcast. Are you subscribed to that, by the way? If not, you should. We'll link to it. Jordan, welcome back. There is an article over at Rorate Chaley blog post there. But first of all, it's 2025. We're still doing blog posts. That's amazing. Like, my mind is blown, but okay. 39% of young American priests consider access to the traditional Latin Mass a priority. 40%. That's a huge chunk of young American priests consider access to the traditional Latin Mass a priority. I just want that to sort of sit, and I want us to ruminate on that a moment, because it's like, as you said before, it's not just in Tennessee, it's not just in Charlotte, it's in Michigan, it's in Texas, it's in California, Monterey. The guy in Monterey canceled it 2 days before he left Monterey to go to Austin, and then just a week later, he cancels the one in Austin too. And as Dr. Taylor Marshall pointed out in his podcast yesterday, all of the bishops recently who are making waves, canceling TLMs, all appointed by Cardinal Prevost, who went on to become Pope Leo XIV. What I want you to do is I'd like to get your comment on that, because it seems like the cries of the faithful are really not being heard, because many people have cried out and said, we want more. We want to be in unity. We want to be in communion with Rome and our local bishops. We want more, not less. And instead, they're being treated like pariahs.
Mm-hmm. No, that unfortunately is exactly it. And despite my very sanguine way about me, I do like to say it'll get worse before it gets better, but someday it'll get better. Wow. But I think that the big thing you're kind of hitting on is this. The American church is like, I'm in a new diocese, right? And this diocese, for instance, has gone through a shrinkage. That's the first time I've ever encountered that in a diocese. And that sucks. That just sucks to see really pretty churches away. But also it sucks because you think about the rot that's happened over the last 100 years. And the reality of the matter is that the Catholic Church, I think right now, Benedict talked about this, right? The Catholic Church is going to be smaller, but it's going to be more vibrant. And what you are seeing is that these priests who are giving up, by the way, you give up a family, right? You give up having children. You become a spiritual father. You have to now kind of be at the whim of the diocese, and hopefully it's a good bishop, but sometimes you don't get so lucky. So if you're going to give that up, don't you want to not also have a Catholic identity crisis on top of it? So I see a lot of these young priests out of the diocese, priests who might not necessarily celebrate the traditional Latin Mass, but nonetheless, they just love the fact that they're Catholic because they're all that's left. There isn't this cultural Catholic apparatus anymore. Anyone in my age group who isn't going to Mass isn't still going to call themselves a Catholic. They're just out completely. So I'm hoping that by this kind of wave we're going to see, we already know that this kind of force is unstoppable. The church is trending in one direction. That's simply back to tradition, because from there do we get, I think, our deepest relationship with Christ. We're done with novelty. And I'm hoping that the Holy Father takes that up, because honestly, we're hemorrhaging right now. And I think that is the most definite way right now to stopgap for a lot of parishes.
Do you remember under Summorum Pontificum how much the TLM was just bursting at the seams, growing in these dioceses because they were in the parishes, they were the local parishes, and people were flocking and loving it, putting money in their baskets and parking in their parking lots. And now, after Traditionis Custodes, all that's gone. They're now driving an hour plus to go to either the SSPX or Fraternity Parish and Institute of Christ the King, some other place. They're going elsewhere because they've been sent elsewhere. It seems bizarre to me. If they would have kept Summorum Pontificum, it would have grown in the local parishes instead of now outside the parishes. They've created disunity rather than unity.
Yeah, that's right. And they keep beating us with the obedience stick, right? Every once in a while, we Catholics like to use particular words of our faith to kind of hit each other. And right now, that's kind of the stick that I'm hearing over and over again. Well, this is just the pastoral approach. Trads aren't pastoral. You have to be obedient, all this kind of stuff. And again, Benedict, I think, hit the nail on the head here, which is this isn't a question of somehow my affinity to Rome or to my local bishop. I, as a Catholic, want to be, of course, in full communion with my local ordinary and with Rome. I, as a Catholic, want to make sure that my church is integrated into the wider diocesan life. I'm very fortunate to go to a church right now that has been doing it for 25 years. It's wonderful. And you can see that as a traditional Latin Mass, it becomes a pillar of your community. It's not the weirdos off in the sticks. So until this really gets rectified, and again, I think that Summorum is just the answer. I don't think Leo needs to do anything new, but I do think it does take an ideological question into account. And we just have to see his hand on it. But at the same time, at least with the American church, I'm hoping that especially as these priests start to get into their priesthood, and some of them will become bishops at some point, this will kind of, again, organically sort itself out a little bit, which I don't know if that's the solution, but I'm just praying that might be a part of the solution.
Dr. Taylor Marshall, in his podcast yesterday on this issue, he basically made the point that it's his belief that Leo thinks that we talked about this last segment, a Latin Novus Ordo is just going to have to be good enough. The bishop in Knoxville, Tennessee, he basically says this in his letter announcing this. It needs to be good enough that the Novus Ordo said in Latin. Why do you think they don't understand why traditional Catholics won't find that good enough?
Oh, well, first off, isn't it funny? I had a friend once quip that if the Latin Novus Ordo is a solution, what the heck did we reform? If vernacular was so important, but we could just switch it to go to Latin if that's all the people want, then that doesn't really strike me as quite the spirit of some of the reformers. At any rate, I honestly think that they just haven't done their homework. Like, again, my friend who's an educated, graduate school theology graduate guy, he just doesn't know that there's a difference of the missals. Growing up, I was always told, rightly so, right, that the Mass is the Mass, but I didn't know about the changes from 1962 Missal and the 1969 Mass of Paul VI. No one told me that. And now when I sit at Mass and I'm going through, I just had a video, thank you for plugging my podcast, by the way. I just had a video talking about the Missal, going through the margins and seeing the beauty, the depth, the wisdom of the church pouring out on the page, and then seeing just kind of how pared down that's all been. No one had ever opened that up for me before. So when I read His Excellency's words out of Knoxville, or certainly Bishop Martin's words out of Charlotte, what I kind of just see is the fact that it's not been actually seriously studied. It's become a nuisance. Traditionalism has just become a bit of a nuisance, and you have to kind of deal with it in this swift, kind of mean way. And surely the people will go away because, again, you'll hit them with the obedience stick and you'll call it a day.
What about the vitriol nature, especially the guy in Charlotte? He made sure that the chapel that he relegated the TLM to was so small that it was impossible to serve everybody's needs. He did that on purpose. He seemed to gloat about it in his release.
I read a book called Art and Environment in Art and Environment in Catholic Worship, I think is what it's called. This is the book that the reformers use to essentially uglify all your churches, by the way. And one thing when you talk about vitriol there, Joe, is that these guys are just kind of living the spirit of it. I mean, again, these trads are mean online. They're disruptive, I guess, because they believe in things like orthodoxy and they have a lot of children and they love the Catholic faith. And for whatever reason, I mean, you could call it infiltration, you can call it just ignorance. I like to presume probably more ignorance and malice right off the bat. But nonetheless, it's just kind of mean-spirited. And I think that what it's just getting at, again, is that there's this ideological and identifying issue in the Catholic Church, right? So there are just people who really look at the Catholic faith as it's always existed, and they decide to walk away from it. They only really believe fundamentally the church has existed the last 70 years, and the church is just made up about whatever whims they believe in that fashionable era of themselves. They're not holding to the perennial teaching of the church, and certainly not to the liturgy which the saints themselves prayed, right, that has birthed Catholic culture across the entire world, with sanctified Europe and Latin America and North America in all these ways. And I think that's why, again, it's annoying to them that for some strange reason, the trads aren't going away. If anything, there is more tradition out there. And even if they squash it, try to put it to the sides, tell you that you're being disobedient or schismatic, it's not going away. And that's something that, again, Rome is just going to have to deal with, God willing, in a really positive way.
God willing. Jordan Pacheco, Glad Trad Podcast. Love having you on the team. Thank you so much for doing it. Praise be to God. If you want to hang out with us in the after show, we'd love to have you there too. By the way, the straw poll over on the YouTubes, will you watch Mel Gibson's sequel without Jim Caviezel? 54%. I can't believe it. 54% say yes. 14% say no. So we're back to that 14%. You lost a percentage. You gained and then you lost it. 32% said maybe. I'm in the maybe category. Not so sure. We'll get your take on that and everything else in the after show. And until tomorrow, God love you.
And Joe, we're in the after show.
I do see a couple of different polls in the Telegram group. Damon put one there and Tim put one there. Will you watch Mel Gibson's right now on the Telegram group? It's 62% say yes, 0% say no, and 38% say maybe. Wow. That's interesting.
That doesn't surprise me, though. Does that surprise you, really?
I don't know. I don't know. It's like
you really want it to be no, don't you?
Okay, listen. I'm having cold sweats and flashbacks right now when we all thought we're getting new Star Wars movies. It's going to be great.
Oh my gosh,
we're going to get the Luke Skywalker of Return to the Jedi. It's going to be so fantastic. We're going to get all of his escapades, all those years of just being the dominant, amazing Jedi. Instead, we got this liberal milk toasty wine bag of a nonsensical. Oh, good grief! You ruined it. It. That's what I'm worried about.
You're worried that Passion of the Christ 2 is going to be what's it called? Not The Last Jedi. Well, The Last Jedi, sure. Like you're worried we're going to be at that level. We've been bamboozled by J.J. Abrams here.
That's right. Yeah. Is J.J. secretly like the first AD on this movie? I'm like, what are we even doing here? Okay. But
someone in the comment section said this, Joe. They said, listen, like I'm watching it because of the depiction of Jesus, not necessarily like the man who plays Jesus. Okay. In the same way that I could watch, like some people really love The Chosen, but like, could The Chosen exist without Jonathan Rumi?
Who loves The Chosen?
There are other Jesus.
Nobody loves The Chosen. What are you talking about?
It's fine. It's fine.
I actually kind of like Jonathan Rumi in the character. I think he looks. Yeah. I like his persona. It's really entertaining, but I'm not a big Chosen fan at all. I would say that much.
It's a bad analogy. I'll have to back out.
But if in season 4 of The Chosen, I don't know how many seasons they had, no idea. But let's just say they switched Jonathan Rumi out for somebody else. We'd all be like, what? What are you doing? Like, why are you doing that?
Well, if only between season 3 and season 4, like 20 years took place. 25 actually, right? Because The Passion of the Christ came out in 2004. That was my first rated R film, by the way. We saw it as a church. And,
really?
No kidding. Yeah. So we went out to the theaters and saw it as a church, and I was 9, and I was like, wow, I need to be much better about being sorry for my sins, because that movie, like a lot of people, right? It did feel like affected me so deeply. Yeah,
it was heavy. I watched. My wife and I went to a dinner theater to watch The Passion of the Christ.
A dinner theater, wow!
A dinner theater, yeah. Those were good. Those were fun times. And then that same year, 2004, I went to the Boston Men's Conference. Sat almost like basically in the front row, and Jim Caviezel was the keynote. And I remember, so I was like feet away from him, and I remember like he was like in an Armani suit, like the suit probably cost more than my house or something like that,
right?
And he walks up to the podium, and his hair was all slicked back, and he looked, very Italian, that kind of thing. And he was, and he put on this awkward thing. It was like kind of awkward at first, but over the speech, he began to build in confidence, I would say. And so by the end, he's like, quoting Braveheart, freedom, and it's like everybody was like, roar. We're all like roaring. It's like, this is amazing, but so it was like he was just putting on this act, basically, and it was kind of interesting to be sure. Even Cardinal O'Malley clapped. He was like all motivated too. He sat there all day long. It was pretty interesting. So I don't know. I'm just I guess I'm just worried that essentially Mel's going to ruin the whole thing, and it just won't be what it could be. We all got excited when we heard that he was going to do a follow up, and now I'm like, I don't know.
Well, to be honest, I was like, interesting when he said he was going to do a follow up. I was not like jazzed out of my socks, only because I think the Passion of Christ. So
I'm gonna steal that one. Jazzed out of my socks.
Whatever them kids say nowadays. No, but like, again, Passion of the Christ has held up. Like it's a beautiful film. It's a film that I think has really helped a lot of people in their faith life. It's also held up just really well visually 25 years later.
Yeah.
And I have all these other questions kind of surrounding that, which is like, how will it be shot? Who are the other actors? Like, what's the story even, if you will? Like, you say Passion of the Christ, and it's like, okay, like, I get it, because we pray the Stations of the Cross. We have actually, like, the story beat, so to speak. Garden of Gethsemane, betrayal. That's a pretty good inciting incident that leads throughout, like, our Lord's Passion. Like, that's, that is, in terms of story, that's pretty good structure. The resurrection. Okay, are we talking about the Acts of the Apostles and our Lord's relations in there? Are we talking about, like, is there going to be a more artistic?
Well, how did you?
I don't know.
How did you feel when he told Joe Rogan that he was, it was all about going into hell? Like, I'm like, what are we doing? Where?
Yeah. So is this
a psychedelic trip? Are you guys eating mushrooms and then all of a sudden?
Oh, see, let's take this here. Let's suppose it is Last Jedi. Let's suppose that it's like the Last Jedi mixed with like a Zack Snyder film. Because when I hear like going into hell, I'm like, oh dear, is it going to be like slow mo and he's just like, drop kicking the devil or something? Then good for Jim Caviezel. He dodged a bullet.
Yeah, I mean, that's my point. This is my point. I'm like, one, we're losing Jim, and two, what is the story? And oh my heavens! Like,
well, this would be different if how Netflix is doing that stupid Chronicles of Narnia. Greta Gerwig's directing, because of course she is, and as I'm going to be a woman, it's going to be trash.
Netflix. I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, this is what knowing you when that happens. I can't wait to watch your show about that. But my point being is that if that was the case, if it was like, hey, listen, we're going to do the Passion of the Christ 2, but we're going to give it to Ryan Johnson to direct or something like that, I'd be like, oh, it's over. Like it really is over. At least Mel is still in the driver's seat. That's got to count for something else.
Okay, yes. I grant Mel's an amazing director. We enjoy Mel's films. I like Mel. It would be amazing to talk to Mel someday. But I don't know. I guess I'm nervous about it. We'll see. Will I watch it? Yeah. Of course I'm going to watch it. I'm afraid to watch it. That's all.
I will fly to Texas. We can do a dinner theater watch party together.
Should we? Should we do that? That would be hilarious if we did. It'd be so fun.
Tight.
Yeah. Dinner theater. Like, it would be like Mystery Science Theater 4000 or whatever that is, only with food involved.
Our live reactions, they can just hear you scream all the time. But you're right, though. I didn't, I hadn't even thought about Mel Gibson's comment there he made on Joe Rogan, right? Like, talking about like just a touch of the plot. It doesn't really help us either. I still wouldn't touch it if it were like, hey, Jordan, how would you like to direct a Resurrection of Our Lord movie? Because I wouldn't touch anything concerning our Lord, to be honest, like that. I'd be way too terrified. The bar is way too high, and everyone's very rightly so nitpicky. I just couldn't do it.
It did $1 billion with the B, in box office revenue. If you mess this up, it's gonna be catastrophic. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like it's gonna be such a problem. It's going to ruin the reputation.
Two kinds of religious films, right? You want, like, Passion of the Christ is a religious film everybody can watch, right? It's very sorely about our Lord, but it's still like, it's such high film quality. You don't want to make a religious film that only your grandma watches because it has Jesus in it. You're like, oh no, like that just can't be just the reason. If the bar is not there, if the story is not good, and all these other things we do when we make Hollywood productions.
Yeah. Yeah, Arleon. Oh, he's calling me out. Arleon says, Joe kind of mocked me when I expressed uncertainty in Gibson's directing a Cortez movie. Now he's all like, Mill is ruining the Passion. Be happy, Kathleen Kennedy isn't directing. You're right, Arleon. You're right.
That's what I meant. Kathleen. Oh, yeah. Oh, it could be worse. Yeah,
you're right.
You think it's gonna be Last Jedi over here? I don't know.
Oh, I get it. You're not wrong, for crying out loud. It's Mel. I got to remember.
I would rather Mel makes a Cortez or Lepanto movie than Passion of the Christ 2, to be honest.
If I had George Soros money, I would force Mel Gibson to make those movies. He wouldn't have a chance. He wouldn't have a choice. I'd be like, no, you're making it. Shut up and get over here, pal. Okay? Do the work. Do the job. That's life. Do the work.
Yeah, take the check.
You lost your house. You need the money. Now get over here. You know, I would totally force him. Yeah, his house burnt down.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, I mean, don't feel too bad for him. I'm sure he's okay.
Yeah,
he made $1 billion on the Passion of the Christ.
But if we say nice
and
things
he's going to make at least $37.55 on this next one. Okay, it's going to be It's going to be a solid $40. He's going to make on this.
Instead of poor guy, I'll say rich guy. Rich guy.
Anthony Abate over at Avoiding Babylon is the cool kid on the block. He obviously gets to talk to Mel Gibson. I, however, I'm lucky to get Jordan Pacheco at this point. I mean, really,
you are lucky to get Jordan Pacheco.
That's true.
I discount Mel Gibson.
Lost
just like, I'm going to get Mel, so Jordan will do.
Jordan's the next best thing. That's what I was thinking. The Lost Creole says, Joe, relax. Jim will play Cortez for the upcoming epic You Are Dre. Oh, could you imagine?
Ooh. You know what?
Could Jim Caviezel pull off Cortez? He'd would look good in the part. That's for sure. But he has to have the accent.
Yeah, he has to have the accent. Now, here's the question though. Like, how old was Cortez when he was 30s. Sitting with Montezuma? Yeah, in his 30s.
Yeah, he wasn't that old. That's the thing.
I mean, I'd watch his screen. I mean, I'd watch the screen.
I wouldn't care.
Oh, okay. So wait. You talked about de-aging with the Irishman. Did you like that movie? Did you think the effect worked? Am I out of my depth here?
No, I was distracted by. Okay, but we're talking two different things, though. Okay, I thought the de-aging was quite amazing. The effect of it was very amazing. I'm like, wow, that looks amazing. But I was also focused on it then and not lost in the story, because I was too busy looking at the novelty of the de-aging thing. And I think it would have been better. The problem is they wanted De Niro. They wanted Pesci. They wanted these guys. And I'm like, we didn't have a movie before this where we were like, hey, these guys have to come back. That to me is different. Number one. Number two, De Niro, what is he, like 98 billion years old? I mean, like he's old.
Yeah, like he's now.
Like, clearly his body just doesn't move. But Jim's only 50 something, and he's in great shape. I mean, his body's not quite that bad.
Here's the thing, but like
further down the path.
But take Tom Cruise, right? Like I watched Maverick, and I like Maverick a lot. But there's a scene where like they're playing football on the beach, and like whatever work or lack of work. Sorry, Tom Cruise, I'm trying to call you out, but like if like the work of the face has been all right. But the body, like there's kind of some shots of his body, and he just kind of has an old body because Tom Cruise is in his 60s now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like you can de-age the face. Like a lot of films do this, of course. Like there's always little effects and little touch-ups and that kind of stuff. But like to seriously kind of take a man at 57, let's say, and make him 33. You can do it with makeup, you can do a little bit of lightings, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to touch that with visual effects. And I just think, even just in principle, like, are we as Catholics going to be like, yeah, I'm really happy that they brought Jim Caviezel back, but now we have a 25% digital Jesus in every single shot we do. I don't know. Like, in a world where we're talking about authenticity and realism, I don't know if that's the right call for us to do as Catholics.
Oh, yeah, well, Nicole says, I don't watch anything out of Hollywood, period. She's on the definite no camp. Kevin Pierce, good morning to you. He says he was confirmed in the role. What happened? So disappointed. Such a letdown. Nobody can do it like Jim. Thank you, Kevin. I'm on your team, pal. Nobody can quite do it like Jim Caviezel. So disappointed that Jim
like, gets it right.
What's that?
Is Jim like looking at like his words on the subject? Like is he content? You think he's content with it? Like he's like, this just happens, or you think he's gonna?
I haven't seen a single statement from Jim Caviezel on this. So this was breaking yesterday, and the only story we got was Mel said because of the cost of de-aging, they were going to replace several key actors. Now, remember, the actor who played John died. So obviously they got to get a new John.
Rest in peace.
But it's the actor who played Peter,
well,
the Blessed
AI
Virgin,
him,
and Mary Magdalene, and Jim.
They could just AI all of them though, Joe. Like if we're not going to stop at de-ageify, let's just put them back in. Why not?
Seriously, they could, right? Like you can make movies. I experimented a little bit with the Google AI thing, the Trio, whatever that is. Yeah, just I just out of pure curiosity, like how can you make these like realistic, clips that I was seeing. So I looked at that, and it's scary how capable that is, and that's only going to get more capable. So Hollywood's in trouble. I mean, they need to make decisions right now on what they believe and where they stand on that, because why pay some prima donna actor millions and millions of dollars when you could just pay some 18-year-old in his mom's basement to make that for you on Google? I mean, it's true. Insane.
The only question I have, though, is, Joe, if a movie came out, let's say that it was something to the level of Passion of the Christ, something fantastic, just a beautiful epic, but it was 100% AI generated, would you go pay money and would you go watch it?
No, because I think I'm against it.
Yeah,
I don't want to see AI generated movies. I just think it lacks the human touch, and I think the craft that the humans put into it, the collaborative effort that all these humans are putting into it to make it all kind of work. I mean, not that I have any experience other than the one time I was in Idaho filming this thing, and even in that certain scenario, it's a pretty amazing to see all these people come from across the country. You got the guy with the brothers with their expensive red cinema camera, drove it all the way across the country to Idaho just to be there to provide for this. And you got someone running sound, you got someone doing lighting, someone doing makeup and costumes. And it's just like the collaborative effort is actually quite fascinating and interesting to bring a story to life. I found that beautiful, which is why I support that family from Idaho who's making these films on Saints. If that was all AI, it lacks some soul, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, which maybe is why Hollywood is going to have to decide if they're going to embrace it or not, because Hollywood's been soulless for a long time.
So I shouldn't feel bad for Hollywood, is what you're saying.
No, but here's the problem too. Like, and this, of course, is like, is just my poor cinematographer brain, because at the same time, like, since I was in LA working and everything, like, not every single thing objective that comes out of Hollywood is trash. In fact, I watched F1 and I actually thought that was a pretty fun, like, on rails movie. And I just want good American stories again. And I feel like we've just stopped. Like, we need to stop with the wokery. We need to stop with just kind of a race to the bottom. And that includes with AI too. The problem is that, I think you're going to hit the nail on the head. We are going to see more problems of the AI question out of Hollywood, because after the writer's strike and after prima donna actors, and like, look what happened with homegirl that played Snow White. I mean, her comments alone probably cost Disney in the tens of millions, if not hundreds, but certainly the tens of millions, I suspect. When
Disney
she had to talk
deserves
about
it. Good grief.
So, like, yeah, Disney deserves it. Like, by all means. But I'm just like, I'm simple. I'm like, listen, can we not just go back to making good human stories? Can we just? Yeah, it's a storytelling. I know they exist.
I'm going to get myself in trouble here. I'm going to get myself in trouble here with my trad audience, but I liked Cabrini. Yes, there are downsides to Cabrini. There's 100% there are some downsides. There are weak spots.
I think it's shot beautifully. It's painfully mediocre.
Beautifully filmed. Monteverde is a fantastic cinematographer. The framing, the lighting, every frame was a painting. It was beautiful. Now, if they improved the weak spots, it would have been way better. Right, but I want to see more of that, not less.
It wasn't that she was a Catholic saint in the making. The whole script is just like, what's this Italian woman doing walking around here? You can't do that. And she's like, yes, I'm Italian, I'm a woman, I'm immigrant. They're like, yeah, but you're a woman, you can't speak. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, guys, we get it. You unleashed us on National Women's Day, and this is why we shouldn't let the Mormons produce our stuff. That was my takeaway from.
Oh, 100%. Now you're pushing my button right now. If I had George Soros money. We would make a Catholic studio house equivalent to Angel Studios, so that Catholic filmmakers can come to a Catholic place and make solid Catholic films without having to compromise in any way, shape, or form.
Let's do it, Joe. Let's do it. Lots of cameras. Let's do it.
It requires money, lots and lots of money, and the Mormons got plenty of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it also requires. They also hang out with each other.
Well, that's exactly it, right? I think we're seeing it now, like very positive. I talked to Anthony D'Ambrosio not so long ago, was on one of our podcasts at the Augusta Institute talking about Triumph of the Heart, which I haven't seen yet, so I'm going to reserve my judgment on it. But what he was kind of talking about, and what I've heard a lot of different creators talk about, is the fact that, like, when we talk about a new Catholic Renaissance, I think part of it is like there also needs to be Catholics need to understand that they are a market and that they don't need to dilute their purchasing power to other Christian markets because it has a cross on it. That's what we've been doing wrong for decades, right? It's like, Catholics, go see God's Not Dead. I'm like, this is not a Catholic movie. It's made by Catholic filmmakers, but fundamentally, it's not a Catholic movie. The story's not that good. It's evangelical, and that's why the story sucks. But hopefully we're kind of getting to where there's like more Catholic culture this way, where we can actually rally around and actually support our stuff and make sure that it's good too.
Yeah, we should. Oh man, we should do like I should rent a theater out for the resurrection and just get all ACT insiders come and hang. We'll get Jordan over there. Ooh, we'll just all hang out.
That would be.
We should look into that maybe in Buffalo or something. That'd be fun to do.
Oh yeah.
That way we can have a party at the studio as well and do a live show from the studio.
We could have wings.
With the Mass.
Lots of wings.
Lots of wings. That'd be fun to do. We should maybe consider that as a opportunity.
Your insiders are loyal too. They do that. That would be incredible.
Wouldn't it be? That'd be a lot of fun. And we can get some other cool people to come hang out. Maybe make a mini conference at the studio. That'd be kind of fun to do. Hey, KZ2, brother, from your lips to God's ears. Joe, you are so much cooler than Anthony Abate. Yes, that should be put on a mug right there. I am so much cooler than Anthony Abate. I agree.
You better believe
it. Good morning to you. Patty Can, yes, the Novus Ordo is totally insufficient to give proper honor and glory to God. Going toward Trash Mom says, I'm coming in late. So maybe it was mentioned, but Eric Sammons had a good video about why the Latin Novus Ordo isn't good enough. Yeah, it sort of is tone deaf. The whole argument that if I just throw you this bone, it's like the whole let them eat cake thing. You know, it's kind of like it just is so tone deaf. Oh, they're starving. Let them eat cake. You know, listen, I like Marie Antoinette. Don't get me wrong. I'm not on the anti Marie Antoinette.
Not on the hate train.
Yeah, but still, it's like you're missing the point here. One, Saint Gregory the Great, Saint Leo the Great. I mean, you just think about the greatest saints ever, ever, ever. They didn't have to endure the Novus Ordo. Okay, they went to the traditional Latin Mass, which was organically developed over 15 centuries, unlike the Novus Ordo, which was developed by a committee over the course of days, weeks, months. Let that sink in. Number two, what about the forms of the sacraments like baptism, marriage, confirmation? You're losing all of that. The older forms, the richer forms of these sacraments, which include extra exorcisms, which don't now exist in the new form. Yep. We need all those graces. We don't want less grace. We want more. We want more of the infinite well of mercy, not less of the infinite well of mercy. In the new form, it's less of the infinite well of mercy. They've limited that. That's a problem. What about just culture in general? Why wouldn't we want more of traditional Catholic culture and not less of it? So this is like force feeding us, into this camp to say, you will go do this, you will like this, and the beatings will continue until morale improves. When what father would give his son a stone when he asks for a fish? You know what I mean? Like we're being given a scorpion here.
It's what it demonstrates to me, honestly, too, is that even the children, and we're all to a certain extent, right? We're all children of the Reform, but even the direct children of the Reformers don't actually believe the arguments of the Reformers. They somehow reject it. Like, if the answer really is, we'll just have the Novus Ordo in Latin, it's like, well, what did we reform then? Because if that's the case, and people, your comment section is very smart about this, right? Like, I think one of your commenters said, like, it would be better to have the Latin Mass in English than it would, or the vernacular than it would be to have the Novus Ordo Latin. I 100% agree. If it was just an issue of language, I think I'd be really, really cool. Like, I love how I think the Anglican Ordinariate Mass is essentially what the Mass in the vernacular should look like. So that being said, I think if this is the issue, it's like, it's just you guys have your Latin. It's like, okay, so let me get this straight. We kept the Latin, but we removed prayers at the foot of the altar. We removed the huge invocation of the saints that goes on the Church Latin Mass. Like, you don't even realize like what we lost just by getting rid of the Roman canon for Eucharistic prayer number 3. And again, these arguments that like, the problem is that there were just these 30-minute low masses all over the place. So that's why we decided to have a Eucharistic prayer written on a napkin. It's like, wait a second, guys. Like, none of this is holding water if that's like the solution to the Latin Novus Ordo.
Yeah. Nicole Andrea says, what about St. Bernadette of Lourdes musical? Oh, boy. A musical? Should we do a musical? St. I don't know. When I just had this flashback in my head of like Fiddler on the Roof, but St. Bernadette version. Apparition. Oh
my gosh.
Apparition. Apparition.
Would you have Our Lady sing, or would she be a non-singing part?
Oh, it's a musical. Everybody sings. What do you mean? Even the Gladiators sung in remember Russell Crowe sang in what was that? What was the film?
That's Jean Valjean. That's Les Mis.
Jean Valjean. Yeah, remember that? That was great. That was memorable.
Okay, Joe, let me ask you: if you had George Soros money, and they said you get one production, you get to pick. You get to pick the topic, right? You get to pick the story.
Yeah.
What would it be? George Soros money on it.
It's Cortez. It's Hernan Cortez.
You're going to do Cortez. Your Scottish blood's going to do Cortez?
Oh, man. Cortez, because you got to go read Bernal Diaz. You got to see the passion with which Cortez witnessed firsthand that his enemy was the devil incarnate in Mexico and said, gold be damned. We are going to destroy the devil here. Like, his men were being captured in battle. In fact, when they survived the Night of Tears, when they fled Mexico City and they ran across the bridges were taken up and they had to jump in the water, swim across. He warned his men, don't take the gold. And the men who didn't listen drowned. He didn't drown because he didn't take the gold. Gold was not his motivation at that point. He flees the city, gets out, and they come after him. And it's like 100-1 odds. And he fights them. He hadn't slept in days, not eaten. Every man is wounded, and they fight, and they conquer. And it was the other natives that come to his rescue and help him kill these Aztecs. But the Aztecs, their job on the battlefield was not to kill you. They tried to capture you because they were taking you back to the big temple, which Hernan had gone up and pushed the idol off, and it toppled down to the bottom. And Hernan, after this battle, and he survives it, is looking out over the city, and he hears the screams of his Spanish soldiers being sacrificed to this idol. And he's determined, I'm going back there. I'm going to go back there, and I'm going to take this place, and I'm going to crush this once and for all. Like, that's a story that needs to be told. And it needs to be told at the most epic possible level, the highest production level possible. Like, I don't care. Like, Mel is going to have to be forced to direct this. He doesn't have a choice in this, Mel. I'm so sorry. But, your paycheck movie, your Santa Claus movie, all of this nonsense has got to go away. And it's time to get very, very focused. But now Jason Jones told me that he had planned to make Cortez. When he made Apocalypto, he was going to do a 3-part trilogy, but Apocalypto didn't do well enough, so he was never able to make the other 2. This is where you need the George Soros.
Did it not do well enough? Because I feel like everyone saw Apocalypto. We even had it on DVD in my house. That's how big it was.
It's great. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to watch, but it's so true, right? So it just needs to be made.
Wikipedia says a budget of $40 million. It boxed office $120 million. That's not the worst thing I ever heard.
All we need is $100 million to do it really well.
That's right. That's right.
That's all we need. What's $100 million? I mean,
we can use AI, Joe.
The USCCB gives that away on a Tuesday to all kinds of Rainbow Coalition organizations.
Yeah,
the USAID gave billions of dollars to all kinds of crazy people. We just need $100 million. I mean, how much money did we give in Peter Spence to do that rock biography of the Rocket Man guy? What's his name?
Oh my gosh! You're talking about
the gay biography, Elton John movie. What did we? How much of our hard-earned donation dollars went to that? So
see, Joe, I got to tell you, like you you know, my joke in my family is that you forget more history than you remember, but you're reminding me of all these things I've been upset about over my entire
I've triggered
life.
you in so many good ways.
Like, you live in this world. God bless. I don't know how you do it without getting an ulcer. You live in this world. I'm like, oh dear.
All right. So it's your turn. What movie would you make? You can only make one. What would you make?
Yeah. So I thought about this a lot. So first off, I think the most tangible movie I actually would make if you said you have a budget, Jordan, go do something is there's a great book called Death Comes for the Archbishop. It's like historical with a little bit of fiction, if you will. But it's about essentially like the first bishop of Santa Fe after the American Revolution, or not American Revolution, after the Mexican-American War. So it's essentially about Catholicism in New Mexico. And because that's where all my extended family's from, I feel like that's just such a soft spot. But it's such a wild ride. I mean, the first bishop was just hardcore, you know, having to go between all these little pueblos. It's also a bit of the history of the Loretto sisters who built the Loretto Chapel, right where the stairs of St. Joseph are. And, you know, they met some of the great figures of the Old West. And so I think I would just have a lot of fun. Now, if I had like epic money, though, if it was like, yo, you got George Soros funding you and he's become a Catholic because I wouldn't take his money otherwise.
I don't know. I'd take his money and do good with it.
I wouldn't make a movie.
Write me the check.
I would make a mini series. I'd make an HBO style mini series about, because there's a book called Empires of the Sea. It's about the 100 years battle from the Ottoman Empire, the Muslims against the Catholic, the Holy League. And it starts with the siege of Rhodes, right? The banishment of the Knights of St. John. Of course, the siege of Malta. And of course, it culminates in Pius V and the Battle of Lepanto. And so I think just like a sweeping political war epic, right? About all these factors going on.
Well, hold on. Mel's supposed to be making that. He's supposed to be making the Siege of Malta into a series.
He hasn't called me.
He hasn't, not yet. He will. Just be patient. He'll call you. I'm sure he'll text you right today. He's listening to this right now. Are you kidding me? Mel is paying attention.
But he's going to make a movie. See, I think the miniseries, because like that's just like, I mean, you could really multifaceted. There's just so many parts of that, that particular time period.
I also want to make a series, like you say, a HBO style series. But my idea is the church, 3 days. What does the church look like 3 days before the Antichrist enters the world stage?
Ooh.
And then it's a 3.5 year tribulation. So you got a 4-season series. Right. So I've sort of written a treaty for this, and this idea of what that church looks like, the persecution, the manipulation, the spoiler alert, all through high Zionism, and this church that has to go underground, and their priests are already being hunted and dragged out and tortured, even before the Antichrist is sort of enters the world stage and becomes public. So that's the idea that I would love to do. You know, I sort of stole a lot from The Hunted Priest, which was based on the autobiography of a priest in the English persecution of the church. He was a Jesuit there, was in the tower and all of that. So I wrote a treaty on it, and I actually started to draft a script for it. But I realized very quickly that I suck at those things, and you really just need to get professionals to do them. So someday.
Well, this is why you see that credit, which is like story by, and then the screenplay writer might be different than the story. That's all you need.
It's like you, the one that's good at this. Get over here, sit down, and write this for me right now. I just want to be a general contractor.
That's the plot of Sunset Boulevard right there. You just quoted right there. That's exactly what happens in Sunset Boulevard.
That's right.
Yeah, she wants to write Salome.
That's right. Jordan is from New Mexico. Storm is like mind blown.
Well, my parents are from New Mexico, and all my extended family. I'm from Colorado, but New Mexico is like my heart. You know, I can't. You know, it's great. It's the land of enchantment. What you gonna do?
The land of enchantment. Christine OFS, good morning to you. Thank you for being on the team. You are amazing. Says it is time for the Novus Ordo to understand it is only an offering, that the TLM liturgy is both offering and sacrifice. People are stunned when I let them know, Pope Leo, you ought to know, do the right thing. Let us pray for His Holiness to do the right thing. I don't really know Leo from anything. What do I know? I'm nobody. But my concern for Leo is he knows better, understands the circumstances, but maybe lacks the courage to do the things the hard work that needs to get done. because a dad's work is sometimes hard, even if the kids don't like it. Doesn't matter if the kids like it. You got to do the right thing. That's part of being a father. And, whether or not he will and come to the rescue of his children who are crying out with loud cries and lamentations right now, all over, will he come to the rescue? And what takes him so long? And I get that there's this, well, Joe, you don't understand. The bishop, I don't want to upset all the bishops that are really wanting to have Traditionis Custodes hammered. Well, you know what? Sometimes it's hard being dad, and you said yes to the job when they asked you. So, but buckle up, Buttercup, and let's get after it. Like go to the loggia, go to the window, whatever you got to do, and just say, hey, by the way, Traditionis Custodes, I'm abrogating. God love you. God bless you. I'm going to go have lunch. And then just walk off. That's all you got to do. That's it. Done.
And then he can have an after show like this, right? Explaining the whole thing. Yeah, this is a big thing. And I think we've kind of seen this with bishops just in general, right? I mean, I talked to Bishop Strickland about this. Bishops have become kind of company men. They've become just administrators. And a lot of times, even good bishops are not allowed to be like full on spiritual fathers in a lot of ways. So I'm hoping because I also want to give, grace to the Holy Father. He says a couple things now that kind of go, but I do want to give him that deference, surely. And I understand that also Rome is a huge swamp of bureaucracy, and it's not like an American bureaucracy where you could just have like it's Italian bureaucracy, which is, the worst kind of bureaucracy, maybe French bureaucracy, of course. So I also wonder, because on one hand, yeah, he could just come out and say something like that. At the same time, even Pope Francis did things that surprised the stuffing out of me. Like Pope Francis's whole dealings with the SSPX, I did not anticipate in a bajillion years. The extension of things from the Year of Mercy or marriages, whatever. I mean, that just came out of left field. So Leo also, like, he's new in his papacy. I'm not holding my breath as much as I was 100 days ago or however long it was. But I'm very, very willing to be very surprised if he wants to come out and be based. I'd take it. I'd be very, very happy.
I would too. I would be happy. It would see. By the way, Tim H put up a new poll in the Telegram group. If Joe had Mel Gibson's talent, yikes.
He does, by the way.
Are you suggesting I don't have Mel Gibson's talent? Wow. Do you need this knife, or should I just leave it right here in my heart for you, Tim, for the next time? Okay, I'm just teasing. What movie should he make? Hernan Cortez, Miguel Pro, or I should make a movie about myself? What am I? Wow. Like, you think I'd spend all that money making a movie about me? No, thank you. No, thank you. What's his name? Stein. Howard Stern. Thank you, not Stein. Stein's on Friday. Howard Stern made a movie about himself. Remember that? That was also a bomb. Hey, 40% said Hernan Cortez. 40% said Miguel Pro. And 20% said I should make a movie about myself. Well, see, you're triggering me because I like Miguel Pro. I'm keen on Miguel Pro, and so I see where you're going with that. You're okay. So now it's swapped. It's 43% Cortez, 28% Pro, and 28% me. No, me. Cut me out. Oh my gosh. It would either be Miguel Pro or Hernan Cortez, but honestly, I'm sticking with Hernan Cortez, 100%.
Can I play you, Joe? Can I play you?
Yeah, that'd be great. You should do that.
You don't mind? Fantastic. You don't mind the slight race swapping? Just like a little creative license.
This is what makeup is for. What are you talking about? This is why they invented makeup. You're gonna be great.
I'm gonna do my best to transform myself.
Did you ever see Eddie Murphy? Did you ever see the old SNL skits of Eddie Murphy dressing up as a white guy and getting makeup and then going around town?
I've seen it, and it's spectacular. And that could be me. That could be me as you.
That would be so hilarious. Are you kidding me? That'd be so funny. Yeah. How do you feel in general about, like, I don't know. I just think it bugs me when, like, I don't care if it's a fictional character as much, but I care more about historical characters being recast. I think that's dumb. Like, I honestly, I'm not a big fan of a Finnish actor portraying Jesus. I'm just not. Like, Jesus wasn't a Caucasian from the North Sea. You know what I mean?
Like, Caviezel's not Middle Eastern.
But they tried to make him look more Middle Eastern, right? So they did some movie effort, make up the hook nose, the fake hook nose. I'm more in favor of Jesus and Mary looking like they're from that region in that time.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's much more prominent, right? I mean, you have, They look the part in The Chosen, whether we like it or not, it's a different thing, but they look the part, certainly. House of David, all those guys look like straight out of the Bible. So,
I loved House of David, actually. I thought it was very good. I'm a little concerned where it's going. I'm a little because I hung on through the entire first season. I couldn't do that with Chosen. I couldn't get past episode 3 of season 1. It was like, nope, I'm done. I checked out.
Episode 1 of season 2, so I kind of get that. And I'm only 4 episodes through House of David. But I'm glad that the Middle Eastern actors are doing the thing. Yeah, here's the thing. Here's a funny thing. So you're right about the historical characterization. Now, my thing is that being said, though, like, again, we just kind of live in a culture, and this is totally fine. It just is what it is, right? But like, if you had a depiction of, if you just put a little bit of makeup on like a white girl who's playing Our Lady, then we'd be like, yeah, it works, it's totally fine. We haven't gone like all strict out to like, first century looking Palestinians and be like, hey, like,
I'm super critical when it comes to Our Lady. I will tolerate worse Jesuses than I will tolerate bad Marys.
Ooh, that is okay. Interesting.
Can't do it. Sorry,
I don't know where I fall on that spectrum.
Like the Chosen.
I'm kind of with you.
I checked out because of the episode 3 of season 1 was the wedding feast of Cana, and Mary was Betty Sue from Idaho, and you know what I mean. It's like, what? This is horrible. Like, what are you doing? Like this.
I thought she doesn't act the part, but she kind of looks the part.
No, my favorite Mary. I've said this 1,000 times. My favorite Mary. It was a small budget film. It was filmed in the hill country of Texas. It's on Amazon Prime. I think the movie is called Full of Grace, if I remember correctly. I haven't watched it in years. I did interview the director years ago. And I asked him about the actress who played Our Lady, because she had this mystical quality to her that I thought like anyone else didn't really capture as well. The only exception to that being the lady who played in The Passion of the Christ. She did a very good job. But this lady, she wasn't even Catholic. She was a Muslim woman. And she was an actress. She's been at a bunch of secular things in Hollywood or whatever, and television shows. And the director said, yeah, she came to this role and she started praying the rosary. I'm like, it's over for her. Like, I never got to follow up to see if she ever became a Catholic or not. But she did, I thought, this great job, because she plays a character. The Blessed Virgin Mary has no concupiscence. She's never sinned at all her entire life. She has a mystical connection with her divine son that we can never appreciate. And so they always miss this. This Betty Sue from Idaho routine. It's just, I don't know, it's revolting. I just can't watch it. I have to turn it off.
It's how it is for a lot of Protestants, right? Like, Mary, Our Lady, is like usually the last kind of barrier. And I'm just reminded of what she herself says, right? From now on, every generation will call me blessed. Have you called your mom blessed today? And like a lot of Protestants, like, I feel like they're scared of what, Charlie Kirk talked about this just a little bit, right? Towards before he was tragically assassinated, but talking about how Catholic or Protestants don't venerate Mary enough. It venerates like that key word there. And as Catholics, we take that thing for granted, but that, I think, obviously plays into how we talk about the depiction of Our Lady. Because again, how do you talk about the fact that Our Lady, right, who is the new Ark of the Covenant, the new Eve, she did not have concupiscence. She was born without original sin, and her entire life was devoted perfect as a human could ever be, to her son. That's a high bar to fill, and Protestants are just like, she's just like, your Jewish mom next door.
But even Catholics do that too. Even Catholics, I think, kind of get that wrong. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, it's so distracting and upsetting. Tradish Mom says, Joe, did you hear that the lead from House of David converted to Catholicism? I did hear that. That is good news indeed. Praise be to God. And I think, is season 2 out yet for that? I think it's coming.
Yeah, I think season 2 just dropped on Amazon now.
Okay. So we watched all of it with our family. I'm just a little bit concerned about how they will deal with Bathsheba in that. Like, I don't know that my family can watch that part. So I enjoyed season 1. We were sort of waiting the whole season for the whole Goliath scene. I just kind of wish we'd had more Goliath action, honestly, than we did. But otherwise, it was entertaining.
It doesn't seem like, it seems like it's, what would you say, like light PG-13? So surely they won't like go any further than that.
I hope they don't, because that's the problem these days. It's like, all of these series, they just can't help themselves. It's like they have to inject so much drama, so much sexual, whatever drama into them that doesn't fit the story. It's not needed. Like you can tell these great stories in a way, so I've said this before 1,000 times. I'm a broken record. I realized I'm a one trick pony, but whatever. I have a friend at our parish who writes Hollywood screenplays. In fact, his movie with Jason Statham's coming out June 13th. He wrote the film and they filmed it in Ireland. It's pretty amazing.
Wow.
He and I have had this conversation a lot. And one of the things he said to me was Netflix and Prime are like hot for stories like this that are more digestible to a wider audience, faith-based stories. And it all was triggered by The Chosen. When they saw Chosen take off, they were like, we need to get in on this wave. And that is why I Am David, or the House of David, is House of David. That's why the House of David got produced, because they were looking for their Chosen. And so if they stick with that, then we might be safe and we might have an opportunity to be entertained, have, good, decent entertainment kind of content that doesn't scandalize young people in our family. So I'm really hoping that's the case, but we'll see. We'll see. Joe.
We'll see. I mean,
Silent Fire says, Joe, would you go see Zero AD? Just curious because Jim is in it. Yes. Silent Fire, I'm a total sellout. I would go see Zero AD because Jim is in it. For two reasons, I would go see Zero AD. One, Jim is in it. And number two, Alejandro Monteverde is the director. And as I said earlier, his Cabrini was amazingly shot, beautifully shot. And he filmed this. Just in the trailer alone, I can tell, like, oh, the framing is so good. So good. The guy knows cinematography. And for that reason, I will go see it.
This movie.
Really?
080.
How have you
What's it
not
about?
watched? It's the nativity.
Oh, you're saying 0 AD.
Zero.
Not 080, like Zero Dark 30 over here.
Yeah, no. It's 0 AD. Jim Caviezel plays Herod in the film.
Oh, yes. Wow, they really make up Tim. Look at him.
See what I told you? Makeup, you can make any actor into whatever.
Yeah, but it's easy.
That's what we're talking about.
But like from Jim Caviezel as we know to this guy, like that's pretty good.
Why can't they? Why can't they just put like the whole Mission Impossible mask on Jim Caviezel to make Jim Caviezel look like young Jim Caviezel? That would solve everything.
Again, there are tons of screen tests on this very question that stay in the vaults of Hollywood because it doesn't work out the way you want it to work out.
I've seen Mission Impossible. I know it works.
Running around in a mask. Well, it's only because like it's a real actor. Then they do like the thing where they take it off, and it's a little bit of VFX, but also it's like the mask they put on right then and there. So yeah, I don't know.
VFX. It's just a great mask. You put it on. Nobody knows. It's 100% works every time.
Joe, I'll tell you what. I'm going to have you come out here to St. Louis. Okay. We have some great VFX guys here. Obviously we don't do like heavy VFXing of that nature at my work, but we know how to do it. So we're going to come out here and we're going to take a picture of you from 25 years ago, because that's actually when Passion of the Christ came out 25 years ago. And we're going to see if we can de-ageify you in a convincing manner. We're going to spend time on this.
That would be easy. Thing. I literally weighed twice as much back in those days. So you just put a nice fat suit on me. It'll be great. It'll be really great.
Yeah, you're right.
It wouldn't have to be too much. We'd get there. Americans, I heard 080 as well. Oh, you're saying I'm slurring my speech. I see how you guys are. You turn on me in the first instant. Magnificat. Look at Rudy is up and awake at this time of day. That's amazing. He was hanging out with us yesterday. It's Jordy, he says. Praise be to God. Jordan Pacheco is also in the chat box hanging out with us. Jane Steves. They made Johnny Depp into Whitey Bulger. See, Hollywood can do whatever Hollywood wants, which is why we're questioning what Hollywood wants today when they've gotten rid of Jim Caviezel. But the only thing I'm going to say is I'm going to give it to Mel. Mel knows what he's doing. Obviously a great director, tells great stories. And I'm guessing that the fact that they're making 2 films would add way too much of a burden on post-production, to hit the timeline that they're hoping to hit, right? 2027 release. 2 films within 50 days. That's pretty aggressive for Hollywood.
But when are they actually starting principal photography? Because
it's already going.
Okay, so this isn't actually it's terrible, right? Because principal photography if it's like a regular movie takes 30 to 45 days average. So let's say that let's just double that and then sprinkle in a nice another 10 days. Let's say 100 days of principal photography. That puts us in early wherever they're at now, but that means that's all of 2026 to edit. And that's a team of edit and music and all that kind of stuff. So you could have someone dedicated VFX artist just on Jim Caviezel in all these scenes. You could really do it, but I don't know. I still think
it can be done.
It sucks that he's out.
It's a lot of money. I mean,
But Joe, even your story there, when you talked about the first time you saw Jim Caviezel, this talk very soon after The Passion of the Christ came out, like when you saw him coming out and kind of how he looked and everything, I was actually anticipating you to be like, oh dear, like I don't like him. And obviously we very much do. But there was just like a wait and see kind of period. We kind of almost forget that moment. So maybe this Finnish guy actually is going to be great. Maybe he's going to be trash, but we can hope not.
I feel bad for him. I mean, it's like the pressure to have to replace Jim Caviezel in that role.
Jim Caviezel's. It's also smokes. Our Lord's. Like, you know?
Yeah. No pressure or anything. Oh boy, no Damon posts a picture of the what was that guy in Star Wars? The Lord. I forget that character's name. He was on the he was the one in charge of the Death Star, like the original picture versus like the DH and AI version.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Are you kidding me? He's talking about is that Admiral
Tarkin?
Not
Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's right. Oh, and Princess Leia, they put her they did like a whole. That's right, because Carrie Fisher was dead for that, right? So they are already
no, they got her in they got her in the first.
They just the first one.
Then she died after.
Rogue One.
Yeah.
No, I think he's talking about Rogue One, right? Rogue One is where we have like the AI Tarkin, whose actor was long dead. And then they also, for Rogue One, they also had like a baby princess, like Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, back from like 1977. And it still doesn't look that good. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's rough, isn't it? But that technology will
be real too. CGI hasn't peaked since like Return of the King, Battle of Pelennor Fields. It's not like we watched Lord of the Rings. We're like, oh, this looks dated. The fact that still looks good should actually be very upsetting for us because we've had how much more advanced.
Polar Express peak animation CGI. Polar Express. What are you talking about? Like, I don't even know where you're going there. Like,
yeah, you're right. Oh my gosh,
that aged well. That aged real well. Yeah. I still think of like the Lord of the Rings, like the Peter Jackson first trilogy, and they're like he used green screen for everything in that. You know, and not everything, but a lot of things were green screened.
Yeah,
and you kind of can tell. You know what I mean? It's like it didn't age all that well, in my opinion. It's okay, but you can sort of pick it. Yeah, you could pick up on it. It's just like a little kind of annoying to see like, oh, you can tell that was a green screen thing. Whatever, you know.
I feel like the Shelob scene still holds up though.
Well, that was The Hobbit. That was what, 10 years after?
No, that's Return of the King. Remember? Because Sam has to go save Frodo. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Chat,
so the
chat correct him. Look at this.
I'm getting beat up. Look at you go. Whatever, man, Mr. Big Spider guy. Okay. No, it was those big spiders were in The Hobbit, but that was the battle in the woods, right? That was
yeah, but we don't talk about The Hobbit. That's okay.
Why not? You don't like The Hobbit? The Hobbit was great.
You like The Hobbit? Wait a second.
What do you think about speaking of the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, what do you think about the effort to remake them with what's his name at the helm? Andy Serkis.
Wait, they're remaking them? Like
Andy
live
Serkis
action?
he wants to make another round, only more faithful to Tolkien's actual writing. Why are you shaking your head?
Serkis.
Why?
Are you kidding
Andy
me?
Serkis is amazing.
Here's. I'm going to lose your audience here. I'm sure. Okay.
You're breaking up, Jordan. Thanks for joining us, Jordan. It was great to have you on. I don't know what happened, but technical difficulties must be Mike Bettina's fault.
No. That's right. Let's blame Mike. That actually sounds reasonable.
That sounds pretty good.
Nice, guys. Nice.
There it is. Peter Jackson, I think, made the best adaptation of Lord of the Rings that you could make. Because looking at what he cut out of the books and how he had to restructure, like how he had to retool story a little bit and the character beats, I think he did a great job. And so to make a more faithful, like I argue with my mother and my godfather about this all the time. but I don't want Tom Bombadil in my Fellowship of the Ring movie. It drags it. Like that whole sequence. Like, okay, and this is my real controversial take, Joe, right here, okay? Lord of the Rings, the books, doesn't get good until after they leave the Council of Elrond. That middle section just drags. And then finally something happens. But like the beginning's awesome, and then it's just like, it just drags. And then the rest of the story is just fantastic and on rails. So I don't know if this is gonna like cause the audience to come after me.
Journey. It's supposed to take its sweet time. It's kind of like listening to the choir at mass drag a syllable out for 10 minutes. It's like at some point you got to bring that ship in for a landing. You know what I mean?
Well, and there lies my other. That's probably my most least trad opinion right there. I'm so happy polyphony was invented because like when Gregorian is going on with the last part of a Dominus, and I'm just like. Yes, I've internalized the word next.
I can't do it. I'm good thing Jake's not around. He's on his honeymoon in Scotland right now eating haggis.
Oh, that's right.
Probably drinking whiskey too. But nonetheless, I got to say, I just can't do it. Like I can't drag syllables out there. I can't sing normally.
That's why
it's even harder.
At least polyphony, it's like there's tonality, there's all this melody and counter melody and harmony and dissonance. It's just, it opens it up a little easier. But if it's just like Gregorian for like 3 minutes on the same syllable, This how you know I've been spoiled right there, right? I would kill for Gregorian. I didn't grow up with it, and now that I have it, I'm like, yeah, we can move on to the next line. Like I'm ready.
Yeah, maybe we should bring back the great old hymns. Let us build a house where all can.
Oh my gosh. I essentially, so God, I won't disclose the parish, but I essentially made a mistake and I went to mass down the road a couple weeks ago, and the priest essentially sang like it wasn't this song, but it was like the "We shall overcome" in the middle of his homily, and then he had the congregation try to clap, and you know how Catholics clap, which is that half of them don't clap and the other half claps poorly, and it was like I was like, oh my gosh, what decade did I just like balm back to? I should have gone to the TLM.
Yes. Yeah, that'll teach you. On Eagle's Wings. No, right. Stop it, Rudy. Stop encouraging this stuff. We're not doing
it. Is, Rudy.
And we will raise you up on Eagle's Wings. I'm so glad not to say.
What about Lord of the Dance? Have you ever heard Lord of the Dance at Mass?
Dance, oh, yes.
Dance, whatever you may be. I'm the Lord.
God help us. God help us all. We're so lost. It's so terrible. Janice, good morning, says all are welcome, all are welcome, all are welcome in this place.
Oh, yes. In this place.
We got rap songs now too. Remember the bishop in Germany that did that? Like, wow. That was good enculturation right there. Like that's awesome. Napoleon Solo, good morning.
Or on the subject of Germany, do you remember that they had those dead chickens in that cathedral? They were singing "Flesh is Flesh." Did you see that? Did you see that
one? No.
Oh, I'm gonna send this to you after.
You remember the dirt? You remember the dirt altar in Germany?
Yes.
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
But they brought in a pile of dirt, and they literally like part of the liturgy was to like form it into an altar, and then they said mass on top of it.
But Lefebvre's the problem when it comes to the issue of the church. That's
totally is bad guy. Lefebvre equal bad. Dirt altar, dead chicken,
dirt altar,
rapping, 100%. You know, das ist gut. Das ist sehr gut. Das ist sehr
Joe,
gut.
that's synodality, man. And you just got to get with the program because if you're not, you're a bad Catholic.
Enculturation. Cigar Mode says remakes indicate lack of imagination and storytelling ability, e.g. the ideological, uneducated, woke left. You know, okay, so why do they make remakes of movies? Isn't it because they're like, what do we do? I mean, like, this movie was great. Maybe we can make it great again. I don't know.
It's sequels, reboots, and remakes. It's because because filmmaking really is a risky business if you think about it. It is putting your eggs all in one basket. I mean, you're telling me that you have a $100 million budget. You have to double that. People forget this. You have to double that, by the way, from marketing. And people are not going to see it. So right now you talk about built-in audiences. So that's why they keep on just doing this over and over, because the price of filmmaking has gone up. Ticket prices have gone up. Audiences are going down, right? People are staying home and stuff. And so you're like, oof, I got to like keep the classics rolling because surely that's going to get your audience back. So that's why there's like 10,000 Fast and Furious films.
10,000 Fast and Furious films. But we had 10,000 Rocky films. We all love those. I didn't love the Rambo editions, though. The Rambo editions were darker in a way that I just didn't
blame the
love.
80s for this. If people don't like sequels, reboots, and remakes, you can actually blame the 80s. So it wasn't like, that's when it started. They did make like Rocky 5. Or no, they made, 4 Rockies at the time.
I thought Creed was interesting.
Creed's good.
Because it was Apollo's son story that I actually thought was pretty cool. But then they continued that on. It's like, okay, now where's that going? I don't know. But I like the idea of Apollo being sort of brought back into the mix. I thought that was kind of cool because
like I would remake A Man for All Seasons.
Well, you would.
Yeah, I think we could take that. I would. I love A Man for All Seasons.
A Man for All Seasons. That would bomb immediately. It can never be as good. What do you mean? Like, who would you get to play Thomas More?
As long as I can get George Soros money, then I don't care if it bombs because I got paid. But who would I get to play Thomas More? That's a good. You, Joe, you could play Thomas More.
No, absolutely not. You want to put me out there as the bad guy, the fall guy, to take the blame for why it sucks so bad? Thank you, but no, absolutely not.
Great, Joe. It's gonna be awesome.
We'll get Rudy to play Thomas More. Let him take the fall.
Oh, that's a good compromise. I like that. And let's get Rudy to play Henry VIII too. Let's do it.
He can do both. We'll have one actor play every character.
Oh, that's so smart. That's going to save us so much money.
That's way nobody else is blamed for the trouble that it's going to cause. Like, no, seriously, who would play Thomas More? Who would you get? What would be the actor that who could play Thomas More, really?
I mean, honestly, if it was a younger Ian McKellen, I think he'd be okay. But
who would have to be younger? Now? He's older. Like, Thomas More wasn't a young guy.
Yeah, but Ian McKellen's now like in his 80s. Thomas More was like in his 40s. So
okay, what about Tom Cruise as Thomas More? He played a great lawyer in A Few Good Men.
You know what?
And The Firm. He did The Firm. Remember The Firm?
The facial structure. That's not the worst idea I've ever heard. People are going to be like, "What?
You're welcome. That's are not welcome."
The worst.
Mm-hmm. And we just have to have some excuse for him to run in the film. Do the Tom Cruise run thing?
He's like running away from the Tower of London.
Yeah, exactly. But you got to do open hands. You got to do the open hands, Tom Cruise.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I totally forgot.
Did you watch The Final Reckoning?
No. Wait, no. That's Last Mission Impossible, right? That's Last Mission Impossible.
Yes, I watched it, and can I just do spoiler alerts ahead? It's overly emotional.
Yes,
it's a 2-hour goodbye. And it's just, it's a wee bit. The
first part was better.
Overly emotional. But it does leave you hanging like on the edge of your seat for 2 hours. There's no question. It's jam-packed.
The first part, like the movie that came out before that, right? The part 1 that has like the train sequence and the car chase through Rome. I think that was better.
What are we going to do now that we don't have Mission Impossibles to go to? I don't even know. Somebody asked me earlier, like,
we're going to have them.
Somebody in the chat's like, how do you guys have, I think it was Colin's, like, how do you have this much time for movies? Because we're bad Catholics, Colin. Okay, for starters. Okay, step one.
Wait. I'm sorry. I work in this world. I got what do you mean, how do you have that time for movies? Call it. No, I'm just kidding. Because movies are great.
I like movies. I love movies. Yeah. If I had George Soros money, I would make movies. I would make intentional movies that change hearts and minds, but also entertain. There is a real lack of producing just great entertainment, good storytelling that entertains people without offending people. Like, that's where, if I had George Soros money, I would totally go into that field. Hey, Jordan Pacheco, thanks for getting up early and being on the team today. Appreciate having you here, brother.
God bless you. Thanks, Joe.
Check them out, Glad Trad Podcast. If you haven't done so already, give them a like, give them a subscribe, and a share. I'd be grateful to you. We'll see you guys right back here tomorrow morning for another round of A Catholic Take. Nicholas Caviezel will be on the team. Until then, God love you.